So SIRUI just dropped some pretty wildly awesome lenses. Is it SIRUI? 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 Nobody knows. I've actually had these lenses for about a month now. The Vision Primes is what they are called specifically. And I've been using them in a bunch of talking head videos, and I'm actually shooting on the 24mm right now as well. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys a bunch of test footage and just kind of talking about my thoughts, my opinions, what I kind of saw, and maybe some pros and cons to these lenses, and letting you guys know if I recommend you pick some up. Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. My name's Dustin, your video tour guide. Remember to keep your arms and legs inside your chairs at all times. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Now, first off, these are full frame lenses, as you can see, that can go to a T1.4. So just that alone, in my opinion, is pretty exciting. It's currently offered in a 3-lens set. There's the 24mm, which I'm filming on right now, the 35mm, and the 50mm, with plans, they have plans to release 2 more in the future. So a wider focal length, I believe, and then a tighter one. What's really quite nice about these lenses, though, is that they come with these, almost smashed my fingers, they come with these self-changing mounts here. So you've got RF, L, Z, and E mount. They come standard with E mount. You can see the little screws right here on how to change the mounts. They're really easy to change too. I immediately swapped those to L mount because I mostly shoot on LUMIX. And actually, speaking of which, if you use LUMIX and you're looking to master or become more technically confident in using your LUMIX camera, I have an online course. There's currently over 3 hours of content teaching you the video settings and the photography settings on basically most LUMIX cameras, because the menus from camera to camera don't really change. But guess what? The one-time payment not only grants you access to what's available now, but also what's available in the future. So I will be covering other settings as well that are more like specific to those cameras, like the GH7, or maybe I release a color grading tutorial on Vlog. That is all included in the course in your one-time payment. So free updates for life. If you want to learn more information, I'll have a link in the description. But anyways, back to the lenses. They do come with all the mounting or the tools you need to mount, unscrew and screw on the different mounts, and they come with extra screws as well, so that's a little nice addition. But my first initial impressions of the lenses were actually how small they are and how light, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, they're kind of tiny for cine lenses, but they really do pack a punch. They definitely feel very well constructed, and even though they're considered budget lenses, by the way, they are coming in at $549 at an early bird price, and then $649 after that. So they are budget cine lenses, but they don't really feel budget to me. The focus throw and everything is smooth. It does kind of click, I'm just realizing that when you get to the end of the focus throw, there's like that little click. Same thing when you get to the end of the aperture ring as well. So maybe one minor little thing that's maybe an annoyance. They have a 67mm front thread and then a 72mm, what's the word for that? Diameter of the front of the lens. My words are escaping me. But so you can clamp on matte boxes. So after using these lenses on some live streams and some talking head videos, and from what I was seeing, I was getting pretty eager to actually just kind of shoot something. As far as the look of the lenses, I generally really like them. All of this test footage I shot was wide open because usually that's where problems arise on these kind of like budget cine lenses. And I had a hard time finding any real problems. And by the way, I'm shooting on the 35mm now at 1.4. They had maybe some slight chromatic aberration if you really zoom in and look for it, but it wasn't very obvious. And there are plenty of lenses out there too that are more expensive than these, and they have worse chromatic aberration in my opinion, at least as far as I've seen. And by the way, I switched it to the 35mm T1.4 so you can get an idea of what it looks like. They also maintain contrast really well when backlit, which really surprised me. You can see right here in the black of my wife's sweater when she's moving in and out of the sun, it really maintains that contrast really well. Obviously it does have a little bit of flaring, but it's done a really good job. And by the way, shout out to my wife for actually being my model. It's the first time she's really modeled for me in a video, so let her know down in the comments. Tell her thank you. Say thank you, Dustin's wife, for being a model. You can even see it in this clip right here as well, where I'm moving in and out. It maintains that contrast really well. Since we're kind of getting a look at the flare too, it wasn't super overpowering, which I also think makes a lot of sense for these. People are like, well, why have a clean set of Cine lenses? And it's like, well, it's so you can add character in post. And it does have some unique character to it as well, which I'll get a little bit more into. But as far as just the flare character, it does have some flare character, which I'm okay with. This is also kind of a surprising one, and that is the focus breathing. It was also very well controlled. I could see hardly any focus breathing, if any, which I personally am not a crazy big fan of focus breathing. I can see where it makes sense on some lenses, maybe like anamorphic, it kind of makes sense to have some of that character, and especially not on autofocus lenses. But I could see these lenses pairing really well with, like, you know, the DJI Focus Pro, which I have. And when you use those and you have those fast, you know, grabbing focus movements, I really don't like focus breathing that much. And yeah, I think these lenses would pair really well with that. The minimum focus distance is also very good. From lens to lens, it changes a bit. The 24mm is probably the weakest in this area, but the 35 and the 50, you know, I wasn't really having any complaints. Sometimes when I'm using lenses and the minimum focus distance is not very good, you know, I'll start to get closer to my subject and I'm like, ooh, the shot's starting to get really nice. And then, like, that's the minimum focus distance. And I'm like, I just want to go a little bit closer. On these lenses, I wasn't feeling that. I would get to my spot and I would still have room to go even closer. So I like that. This is where the character of the lens was very interesting, and that is the bokeh. For me, the bokeh has a very unique look to it. It doesn't look creamy to me. You know, the lenses specifically are like the LUMIX S Pro lenses or the S lenses. The bokeh in the background looks very creamy, which I like that. And I've never really paid too much attention. I thought just like all bokeh looked very creamy. But on these Cine lenses specifically, I noticed that the bokeh looks more like airy and like light. It doesn't really look creamy, it just looks light and airy. That's the only way I could kind of think of how to describe that. It may not be the roundest or even the cleanest looking bokeh. If you zoom in, you can kind of see that it's not super silky smooth, but it has its own unique look that I quite enjoyed. But yeah, I think SIRUI really knocked it out of the park with these. They did send them to me and I do get to keep them, so keep that in mind. I may be biased, but they didn't get to see the video early. They didn't ask me even when to post it or anything like that. You know, they gave me free reins, essentially, so all my thoughts and opinions are my own. By the way, I am on the 50mm now. Hopefully I'm not staying too far out of focus. These are definitely at the top of my list when it comes to, you know, budget, full frame Cine lenses. And I can't lie, I'm really excited for them to release the other focal lengths as well, because I think these are definitely gonna sit in my set of lenses and arsenal of lenses for quite a long time, because the form factor, the look, the weight, like, they're just a very solid set of Cine lenses for what they cost. So let me know what you guys thought though down in the comments. Did you like the look? Are you gonna be picking some up? Are you eyeballing them? Let me know. I'll have links in the description if you wanna check them out. And if you wanna check out my course as well, you can always support me just by hitting the subscribe button and the bell button to be notified of future uploads. Till the next video though, happy filming.